Okay. So, greetings everyone. Good morning. Now, today marks a significant moment as we come together to launch our club, Aravar Sangam, a platform dedicated to celebrating and uncovering the rich heritage, profound wisdom, and timeless philosophies of ancient India. Now, this is not merely a club for us, it will be a journey, a quest to explore India's history, culture, arts, and intellectual traditions. We'll delve into the grandeur of its epics, the depth of its philosophies, and the brilliance of its political and societal frameworks. Now, as we embark on this journey, we are proud to launch our very first series, Quest for Truth Mysteries of Ancient India. Now, this series will take us back into the time to unravel the secrets, insights, and stories embedded into India's ancient texts, philosophies, and traditions. It's an opportunity for us to rediscover the timeless relevance of these teachings in our modern lives. Now, today's session, our inaugural session is dedicated to one of the greatest epics of all time, the Mahabharata. Now, this session will delve deeply into its teaching, philosophical core, the profound relevance of its character in modern life. Now, Mahabharata is not just a story of kings and wars, it's like a treasure trove of wisdom that addresses the complexities of human emotions, moral dilemmas, and the eternal struggle between dharma and adharma. Through this session, we'll aim to revisit those lessons, inspiring each of us to reflect on our own values, choices, and leadership in the contemporary world. About our speaker, we are honored to have Ami Ganatra ma'am, an exceptional scholar, speaker, and author with us today. Ma'am is a management professional with over 15 years of consulting and business management experience across diverse sectors and geographies. Having worked across four continents, she brings a truly global perspective to every conversation. Beyond her professional expertise, Ma'am is a passionate student of Sanskrit and Indic knowledge system. She is also an acclaimed author of three remarkable books: Mahabharata Unraveled, Ramayana Unraveled, Mahabharata Unraveled. Ma'am has spoken and taught about yoga, Etihas, and Indic knowledge system across prestigious institutions such as IIM Ahmedabad, IITs, Hong Kong University, and etc. She has conducted workshops and sessions for student working professionals as well. So, with this enriching background, let us now welcome Ami Ganatra ma'am to guide us through the fascinating world of Mahabharata. Thank you so much for joining us today, ma'am.
Thank you for having me. Namaste, everybody, and very happy to know that this is your inaugural session. So I'm kicking it off. Very
Okay.
nice. Thank you.
So we'll begin, ma'am, with the very common and relevant question: history of mythology. Now, Mahabharata is filled with extraordinary elements, grand battles, the divine interventions, and fantastical creations like Mahaya Sabha, the Brahmastra, the Divyastra, and other celestial weapons. Now, that sort of makes it seem like larger than life. Some actually view this as a reflection of advanced knowledge from an ancient era, while others interpret this as symbols of human imagination and ambition. Like, for example, Sri Krishna's guidance to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita offers spiritual wisdom that feels sort of timeless and universal, regardless of whether we see it as an epic or as a history or as an allegory. So, do you think that Mahabharata is a real record of is a record of real events, or is it just a symbolic story crafted to teach deeper truths about human nature, morality, and spirituality?
Okay, so the way I like to look at this question is see what the rishis have told us. Okay, there's a lot of work going on around figuring out whether this was true or not, figuring out archaeological evidences, figuring out astronomical evidences. So all that work has been going on, and I hope that goes on further. It accelerates. However, if you look at our Indic knowledge system, in that it's very clear that only two granthas, only two texts are called itihas. None else. Yeah. We have Shruti Smriti, we have within Shrutis, we have Veda Upanishad. We have within Smritis, we have the Dharma Shastras, we have the Darshan Shastras, we have the Puranas, and we have the Itihas. Now, see, there is a reason this classification has been made, right? And our rishis have not called one or the other. So, for example, Purans are Purans. They haven't called Vishnu Puran, Shiv Puran, Skanda Puran, Garud Puran as Itihas. Does it have Itihasic elements? Yes. But is that called Itihas? No, it's called Puran. Only two texts, so to say, in this ancient Sahitya have been called Itihas. Now, what is the meaning of the word itihas? It's very clear. The meaning says Purva Vruttam Kathayuktam, something that has happened in the past. Kathayuktam, it is told in a way of a story, which means it could have metaphors, it could have an element that makes it larger than life, it could have elements which sound mystical to us today. Why? Because this itihas had a purpose more profound than just documenting the past. Today, history is meant to document the past by and large, so that we have a chronology, we have date wise, ye hua, right? Was that important? Yes. That documentation of the past was definitely important. That is why in the Mahabharata, you have lineages given. Lineages going up to like 50 forefathers of the Pandavas. We see how many different strands of different families, the royal families of that day and age, have emerged from this Chandra Vangsha, the lineage that we see coming all the way from Yayati and Kuru and all of that. Yeah. So we see all of that as well. We have documentation of a lot of places which were called tirthas, or documentation of the various janapadas at that time. So this documentation was important, but this was not the only thing that was important, because the purpose of itihas is way more widespread and way more profound. The purpose is to teach us lessons of life from the life of our ancestors. Dharma artha kama mokshanam upadesham samanitam. To learn about the pursuits of life, to learn about all those holistic aspects that allow us to lead a more fruitful life. That we learn from the itihas. Now, when I talk about learning about dharma, artha, kama, moksha, and all that, you see a lot of it coming from Upanishads. Okay, Upanishads talk more about the metaphysical, but the dharma shastras, which tell you about the do's and don'ts, yeah. Then why do we need the itihas to begin with? We have the do's and don'ts. It says ye karo, wo karo, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that, vagere, vagere. But you see, even when we are doing management, we have something called as a case study format. We have theory which explains the concept, which says that acha, in this situation this is the approach to be followed, in that situation probably that is the approach to be followed. However, it doesn't become real when you actually do it. So what are case studies? Case studies are when people have actually lived those concepts, figured out what are the implications when you really work it out, when the implementation is done, and you have various learnings from it, doing what led to success, what led to failure, right? So the concepts come to life. We learn about the real practical implications of those theory of that theory working out, right? That is the purpose of itihas. Only the topic is different. The topic is about managing our own lives, not managing a company, but managing our own lives, managing our own relationships, managing our own families, managing our own self every way. Yeah, that is the purpose of itihas. So then why the mystical elements? See, some of it, I believe, has just gotten added over time. Okay. Which probably wasn't there in the original text. Some of it is still not there in the original text, or rather what we have as the original text. It is just the other stories told around this itihas, yeah, or the fiction told around this itihas, which has always been told and retold and retold, that some of these mystical elements have come. However, there are some elements which still seem mystical to us, like you spoke about the Divyastras and stuff. Now, what are these astras? As I understand, there are weapons which you hold, which you see and you hold, right? And there is an aspect of mantrochar. We do know that our ancients had a very strong mental power, way more than all of us, because of which they did all this meditation. They created all these various fields of science, right? Which today we talk of meditation, yoga, all kinds of darshana, sankhya, ayurveda, all of that. How did they do it? It was sheer mental capacity, right? So they, as we understand that there are some mantras, and when said with certain adhikar, with certain power and strength of mind, they could possibly create some kind of major destruction. But not everybody knew how to use the Brahmastra or the Divyastras also, for that matter. There were very few people, even in Mahabharata. Though we keep hearing these names of astras more in the Puranas. Yeah, Puranas, because it's a different thing altogether. It is a matter of faith. It's a matter of Shraddha. Itihas, not so much. In Itihas, there were few people who really knew the Astras. Like in Mahabharata, it was essentially Arjun, Dronacharya, Bhishma, and somewhat Bhagdatta and Karna. But nobody else apart from that. Nobody else knew the Divyastras. Ashwathama knew a little bit, but again, he didn't know. He didn't have the right kind of discrimination, Vivek Buddhi, to understand where to use and what to use. And they were also told that some of these astras are not even meant for humans. You only use these when you are in extreme situation or you're fighting somebody which is a non-human, some other power. So as I said, some of it sounds mystical, but if you think about it, is not so much. And because these are so old anyways, right? There are certain metaphors, certain aspects which we probably don't understand. But I will still tell you, Itihas very clearly is Purva Vruddham. So the core story is the same. The events are the same. I mean, the core story is true. The events are true. The personalities are true. Some aspects, if you see some of these mystical aspects, right? Even if you don't want to believe them, it doesn't do anything to the story. The story still continues. So that has been my learning of this more metaphorical or mystical elements. But again, I would say in Mahabharat Ramayana, Mahabharata even lesser, Ramayana even lesser, Mahabharata a little more, would be like 15-20%, not much. And even if you ignore them, it doesn't do anything to it. So is it itihas? Absolutely. It is itihas. Our rishis have called it itihas. Itihas, the definition by itself is itihasa, that which has happened in the past. So it was, does it happen? Purva Vrutta, definitely in the past, with some metaphysical, metaphorical elements, which can be ignored if you want to. The idea is to make it larger than life, for sure.
That was a really good answer, ma'am. Moving forward, now Mahabharata is a treasure for Indian values like respect, duty, and balance between the personal desires and the societal good. Like, for example, Yudhishthir's decision often revolved around truth and responsibility, even when they caused him personal pain, like in Dyut Sabha and all stuff. So, do you think these values are still meaningful in today's world, like where success often means power or wealth? And how can we actually use these lessons in our daily lives to balance our goals and responsibilities to others?
See, at the end of the day, no, we are still human beings. Okay. What has changed? Technology has changed for sure. Yeah, we have probably a lot more advancements in science. We have much convenient life, less physical effort required in a lot of the things we do. But as human beings, we are still the same. What is it that drove Yudhishthir to do what he? What is it that drove Duryodhan to do what he did? It was his intense jealousy, right? How that actions showed or what technology he used is a different thing. But what was that core emotion or impulse? It was jealousy, right? What is it that Arjun is suffering with on the battlefield? It is not as if it is the first time he's realized he has to fight a war, right? And it is not as if he's never fought with his elders. In the Virat Youth, single handedly, he defeated the entire army of the Kauravas, right? Also, he has fought enough wars in his life to have any such hang ups about killing anybody, right? That is definitely not a problem. Then what happened? Then what happened suddenly on that day? He got absolutely confused between what is the right priority. Should he work towards saving his family or should he work towards a larger goal, which was dharma sansthapan? Yeah. He got completely confounded. He got cold feet, as we say in today's language, right? Exam के थोड़े time पहले सब prepare किया है, सब कुछ हो गया है, and suddenly you'll be like, oh, I don't know anything, I'm going blank. Is this the right thing to do? Oh, I probably don't even want to do this engineering. Why am I here? Right? Suddenly all those thoughts will come to you just before the exam. Especially if some of you have given IIT. It'll be like, why am I even doing this? 2 years you've put effort. You knew it was very tough. But then at that moment, so many people get this cold feet. What is this? Exactly the same. Even though we are so more advanced, so much more advanced as a civilization, right? And that is why Itihas stays relevant even today because it is not about the technology. It is not about how it was done, but what were the driving factors. And that is essentially the impulses which stay same now or then. So if it is all about human beings, clearly, if there are value systems which are allowing one to lead a better life. And how does one lead a better life? By taking better decisions, right? At any point in time, we are always making decisions, always, all the time. Today or yesterday or tomorrow, that will always be a decision. Whether to attend this session or not on a Friday morning was also a decision to be made. When you make one decision, you're giving up on something else. Some of them are easy, some of them are not. It was true then, it was true now. And depending on how people take decisions in those vital situations, determine whether the outcome will be favorable to them or it won't be favorable to them. Right? It is as simple as that. In any situation, how am I taking a decision? Am I taking a decision, say, thinking, yeah, this is very tough, yeah, I don't want to do it. This will require me to put a lot of effort. I don't want to do it. This will require me to miss my parties in the evening with friends. I don't want to do it. Or do you say, fine, doesn't matter. I can give up those short term gratifications, pleasures for some time. When you were studying for IIT, there were probably other friends of yours who were going out having fun, right? Not studying 24 hours like you were. So you gave up that hanging out, being the cool kid in favor of busting your ass for so long so that you could come to IIT. There could be others who decided, I can't work that hard. I will do a BCom and I'll be fine. That is a decision made at that point in time. However, give 5 years and see the difference in where you will be from IIT and where the other person will be, right? So again, this is decision. If a person, you took the name of Yudhishthir, when you take a decision which might feel very difficult in the short term, but having thought through, you realize that controlling your desires in the short term might give you better results, and not just for you, for everybody around you. It is obviously difficult to control the desire, but when you do, you will see in the long term that you will be more successful. Versus the other way, whereas I care for mujhe, I like this and that is it. I want this, I like this, and that is it. This is what leads to addictions, no? Is it that nobody knows that smoking is bad for them? We all know. Is there any person who gets into smoking knowing, thinking that I didn't know only it is bad for me? No, every single person knows it's bad for them. Every single person knows doing drugs is bad. And still, in every university, you have no people who do only that. You have free flowing drugs, free flowing alcohol. Don't they know that it is not going to help them? Don't they know that they've paid so much money of their parents to come here? They still do it. Why? Can't control that desire. When you can't control those impulses of what we call the Shadar Ripus, Kam, Krodha, Lobha, Mohammed, Matsarya, anger, jealousy, lust, attachment, pride, ahankar, ego, then what happens? We always take decisions from that point of view. Somebody said something to me, ek jhapad. I am just dying to have that smoke, I will do it. Good for me doesn't matter. I want it, I like it, that is all I care for. When decisions are taken that way, you will go down the drain. When the decisions are taken that, okay, fine, everybody around me smoking, doesn't matter, I'm going to control myself. How is it helping me anyways? And that control helps in the long term. That is what Yudhishthir has done. Now you tell me, are these values not still relevant even today? So this is the core of Mahabharata in a way.
Talking about Yudhishthir, ma'am, Mahabharat also shows even good people making questionable decisions. Like, if you talk about Yudhishthir's gambling led to Draupadi's humiliation despite his reputation for honesty and fairness. Now, does that actually mean that morality depends on the situation?
Morality is morality. Your decision making, just because one, you know what this incident really tells us, and this is something which Yudhishthir himself says, yeah? When Yudhishthir, when they are in the Vanvas, so I'm going to give two sides of this question to you. So when the Pandavas are in the Vanvas, and Bhim and Draupadi both, they have taunted Yudhishthir, saying that Draupadi hasn't taunted him. Draupadi is only saying that you should never forget your goal. You have to fight to get back what was yours. You were deceived into all of this and stuff. And Bhim is like, oh, we are going through all this pain because of you. You gambled away all of us. Now we are undergoing so much pain. But in many cases, um, in many cases, why should living 13 days is as good as living for 13 years, or living for 13 months is as good as 13 years. So now that we have lived through 13 months, let's break all of this and go back and fight. Yeah. So this is what Bhim was trying to tell him, and he keeps taunting him that all this is because of you, and now you are still not taking an action and stuff like that. And Yudhishthir tells him something. Yudhishthir says, your words are hurting me. Your words are very acerbic. They're hurting me, but I will definitely not feel bad about them, because you're right about it. That yes, we are in this situation because of me. However, you have to understand a couple of things. One, Manyu harati manushasya dhairya. He says, when you are in that situation, in that passionate situation, or in that rage situation, when everything just seems to be slipping away from your hand, you lose your patience and you lose your ability to think right. Something like that happened to me. However, the second time I agreed, that you're telling me now that why did I agree and all of that, why didn't you guys speak up? Why didn't you guys speak up and tell me not to do it? If you would have told me, I would have agreed. But now, not saying anything then, now you're telling me you should have done this, you should have done that, this is not right. Then you just go by what I have done. This is one side of the story, which what he says. And what does that really tell us? That how much ever self control you have, how much ever. If you are not aware, if you're not always aware of that, there is a chance of slipping, especially when somebody else is trying to trap you into it. Yeah. So, showing self control once doesn't mean it will naturally come again. No, no. You have to keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it till it becomes a part of your system. So is morality subjective? Not really. What changes is us. What changes is our mind. Why? Because mind is always wavering. That is why we call it the monkey mind. And we have to continuously work to keep it in check. Otherwise, one small gap and your mind will make you a slave of it. It will make you behave in a way you don't want to or you regret later. But this is one side of it. I'll tell you the other side, which will make you realize that even in that situation, Yudhishthira has actually tried his best. But there are some situations where you really don't know or you really can't say what you could have done. Okay. So let's come to the Duryodhan position, because as I said, Mahabharata teaches us lessons for life. Yeah. Our life. But to take those lessons, we have to understand the case study itself well. We have to understand the situations and happenings within that story well to actually take away what we need to take away from it. So, what happens in the Dyut Krida episode? Unlike what we are usually told, that Yudhishthir loved gambling and he was addicted to gambling and he was dying to gamble, that is not how it is. Okay. When Vidur, against his wishes once again, but because Dhritarashtra told Vidur that go and invite Yudhishthir to play, when Vidur goes and tells Yudhishthir, he actually doesn't want to play. And he says, this Dyuta creates klesha, it creates kalaha, it creates discord in the family. You shouldn't gamble, you shouldn't be doing Dyuta Krida in the family. Now, what is the background for this? The background for this is that the Pandavas, first of all, the Pandavas, Duryodhan tries to burn off the Pandavas in the Lakshagraha, right? They survive, get married to Draupadi, they come back. Now, what to do? So, all the elders decide that we have to be fair to Duryodhan and Yudhishthir both. So, let's divide the property. Let's divide the inheritance. That is Hastinapur that they have. So, the kingdom is divided. What Pandavas get is the barren land of Khandavan, the Khandavpras. And Hastinapur, with all its riches, is kept with Duryodhan. Maybe they got some money also. Okay. So that division has happened. Pandavas agree. Now, with their own effort, their own parishram and own purushartha, the Pandavas actually turn that Khandavpras into Indraprasth. Then they undertake this whole big Rajsuya Yagna, which allows Yudhishthira to then be Chakravarti. Chakravarti means he is the head Raja amongst everybody. Everybody pays tax to him, something like that. So clearly his status has also improved. his position has also improved, and their prosperity is increasing day in day out. Yeah. And they have this beautiful mahal that has been created with illusions and stuff. So Maya Sabha is actually not mythical or even mystical for that matter. It is this beautiful palace created with a lot of illusion. You have these theme parks which also create different kinds of illusions. Even today, it is something of that sort. It is pure architecture. It is the skill of architecture that Maya Sabha has been created. So Yudhishthir goes there. He sees this entire view, that grand Rajsuya Yagna that has been undertaken and stuff, and he's burning. He's burning. This whole thing about Draupadi saying Andhika Putra Andha, I'm sure the 126 people who've joined this definitely believe that it is not there anymore. You know that, right? There is no Andhika Putra Andha in Mahabharata. So Draupadi never says anything like that. Duryodhan is extremely jealous of the riches of the Pandavas. And he's like, I just cannot see them happy. I cannot see them prosperous. They probably did not even deserve the kind of trust that we gave them. So I need to get it back. So he goes back, he's burning, he's very unhappy. His father asks him that what happened, and he's like, this is what has happened. I can't see them happy. That all that belongs to me, I need to take it back. And how to do that? So then Shakuni suggests that, okay, let's play this game of dice, and I'll ensure you get everything. So that is how they convinced Dhritarashtra to invite uh, Yudhishthir for that game. Now, today we have the benefit of hindsight. Okay. At that position, Yudhishthir doesn't know what's going on here. For him, now it is a separate kingdom. They are all separate. The Kauravas, everybody had come. They had come as family for the Rajsuya Yagna. They were helping out with all the arrangements of the Rajsuya Yagna. So when Vidur comes to invite him, first Yudhishthir says that you shouldn't play dice because it creates a kalaha in the family. So Vidur says, okay, if you don't want to come, fine, no problem. But so you tell me, and I tell them that you will not come. But Yudhishthir is like, but how do I say no? And anyways, amongst communities there are codes of conduct. So for Kshatriyas, if you're invited for a game of dice or you challenge for a war, you don't say no. Clearly, this man has no clue about what's going to happen there, right? So he agrees, taking it in the right spirit. They all go there. The Pandavas go there. Draupadi goes with them. Others go there. A beautiful place has been created, and the game starts. Now, before the game starts, once again, Shakuni is like, "Oh wow, we are going to play this game. Let's see who wins and this and that." And Yudhishthir says, you don't have to make a big deal out of this. Anyways, gambling is not a great thing that we have to be proud of. So Shakuni says, "Okay, then don't you want to play?" Now he's like, "No, of course I'll play. Because why will you not play, right? You don't know what is going to happen. You don't know what is going on in their heads at all." So he said, "Okay, I'll play." Then Duryodhan says, so Duryodhan is the one who has invited, right? Yudhishthir to play. He says, my mama will throw the dice. Again, Yudhishthir objects to it. Again, he objects. He says, this is not fair. The person who has invited, he has to be the one to play the dice. How can somebody else throw on his behalf? Again, they try to, needle him, and they say, okay, so you don't want to play? Fine. If you don't want to play, just tell us. But on what basis will Yudhishthir say, I don't want to play? Right? He has been invited. He is there in that, हम जैसे बोलते हैं ना शेर के मुंह में. He's already there amongst all his enemies. And the Raja wants all this to happen. So the game starts. The game starts. एक के बाद एक के बाद एक के बाद एक, one after the other. He's losing everything. He lost this whole kingdom that they had created with their blood and sweat. They had just become Chakravarti. They lost all their riches, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. And the Raja, he's just sitting there and laughing, and he's asking, who won, who won, who won? Jitamba, ko jitam. I said, he's like, who won? Just tell me. Yeah. And he's laughing away. This Vidur tries to say that whatever is going on is not right. Please stop it. Kard and Duryodhan, they insult him and make him shut up. Shut up. Vikard tries to intervene. Again, they shut him out. And the Raja is not saying anything. And everybody is just looking because it's a game at the end of the day, right? Now the king has lost everything. Now you see the situation. Put yourself in the shoes of Yudhishthir. Everything that you had, you have lost. What do you go back to? So when the next dao is played, he stakes his brother Nakul, hoping that at least now I will win. Now, this is what happens in gambling. This is what happens in addiction. When you're like, okay, maybe one more. It happens in stock markets also, no? You're losing, losing, losing. You're like, maybe one more, one soda, and probably I will get everything back. So he's thinking maybe one more dao, and I might get everything back. It is just about that one dao which I will win, because till now only Shakuni has been winning. Nakul, Sadev, Arjun, Bhim, himself. He has staked all of them. Okay, and now he says, what? I have nothing more to stake. Now, at this point, by staking themselves, they've all become slaves to Duryodhan already. Okay, they have become slaves to Duryodhan. Now, you tell me at what point can he really say, okay, stop? Could he have said after losing Nakul? Could he have said after losing Sadev? Maybe before that, before staking Nakul, he could have said, okay, chhod do everything, we are going to Vanvas now only. That could have happened. But do you think anybody is in that situation at that point to think that way? He's thinking maybe one more and I'll win, one more and I'll win. And the Raja is not opening his mouth. He's enjoying all of this. Then, after staking himself, Yudhishthir says, okay, now I don't have anything. I've lost everything. Shakuni says, oh, you have. You have this one lady you can stake. Her name is Krishna. Krishnam Panasva Punarjaya. You stake Krishna and you win again. That is one chance you have. You shouldn't stop till you have any wealth, any gem left. Again, nobody's saying a word. Vidur tries to object. Again, he's asked to shut off. Yeah, he's asked to shut down. Because he's like, how can you stake Draupadi after you've lost yourself? But it is what it is. Yeah, Krishna is Draupadi. Krishna, not Krishna. Krishna is Draupadi. So, but anyways, now when Yudhishthira is taking, he actually lists out all the virtues of Draupadi. He says she's a kind of a lady which a man desires to live a happy and fruitful and worthy grahastha life. She's that kind of a woman. And he takes her. Obviously, as was expected, Shakuni wins. And we know after that what happened. The point is, if we were in Yudhishthir's position, what could we really do at that point in time? And again, I'm not saying that that's the right thing to do. But sometimes situations happen in life where the only thing you can do is go with the flow and surrender and see how it turns out. Because the question is, the Pandavas had become slaves. Even if Draupadi was not staked, what would be her situation?
But her wife is
What would
her
she?
situation,
Huh?
his responsibility, his wife. He could have stopped
You
before
answer
gambling
my
her wife.
question. I'll answer your first. Okay. I'm saying, what was the position of Draupadi if all the Pandavas are slaves?
She was a
Wife is
slave
a
too.
responsibility, वो तो बात की बात है. Abhi they are all slaves. So if
So
all the
she
Pandavas
was,
have
But
become
बीच
slaves,
बीच में ही
not
रुक जाता
servants,
ना वो.
slaves.
He
she
could
will.
have stopped.
Answer my question, na bacha. You already have ideas. I know that. There is a reason I'm here. So answer what I'm trying to ask you. Keep your biases aside for a minute. Just think about and tell me, what is the position if they're all slaves? What is the position of the wife of a slave?
If we purely grow from that perspective, like at that situation, then definitely it wouldn't have been something like as we say now that Draupadi should have been a free person, not connected to Yudhishthir. So Yudhishthir shouldn't have
Correct.
the right to
Correct.
put her in
Excellent.
stakes there.
Excellent. This is exactly what happens. Because Draupadi, she is the one who's asking this question. Okay. She is saying, if the king has staked himself and lost, then how can he stake me? Right? And this is the question she's asking everybody in the Sabha, that how can he stake me if he has already lost? You tell me what is the right thing to do. Am I one or am I not one? Vidur very clearly says he cannot stake you. You are not one. She asks Bhishma Pitama, but obviously nobody listens to what Vidur has to say. She asks Bhishma Pitama. Bhishma Pitama says something very interesting. He says, this technicality I am not able to answer on. Why? Because one, yes, a person who has lost everything and has lost himself, he cannot stake anything else. But a husband-wife relation is special, because does it mean that the marriage institution is ended if the person becomes a slave? Hence, I cannot answer your question, because if he says yes, yes, he can stake you, what will happen? And if he says no, no, he cannot stake you, which others said, Karna said something very nice to it. He says, you are telling me, na, you're saying that you can't be staked. First of all, he calls her a Vishya and all that. He says, doesn't matter if you bring Draupadi here, even if she's nude, doesn't matter because she's anyways a Vishya. Dasi bhi jane do. Dasi to wo hai hi. But she's anyways a Vishya because she has 5 husbands. So she's anyways a Vishya. Doesn't matter if you bring her in ek vastra or without any clothes. That's all fine. So all that he had already insulted her. Then he says, if you believe your husbands cannot stake you, then great. You are free. Choose anybody of us. Choose a new husband. Let go of all of them. You choose a new husband. And at that time, Duryodhan flashes his thigh to her. That come, you are anyways, they're not your husband anymore, na? So you see, for a woman, it's very easy sitting here and opining. ऐसा कर देता, free हो जाता, ये हो जाता, वो हो जाता, right? But the situation sometimes can be more complex than that. And if at that point this entire situation hadn't happened, you tell me what would have happened. If, say, this whole thing, the Pandavas would have become slaves. To be very honest, irrespective of what your intellectual brain says, with the Pandavas becoming the slaves, Draupadi had become the slaves by default. Okay, because the marriage institution is way more it has a lot more sanctity than this. They would all have become slaves, staked or not staked, doesn't matter. Okay, of course, that not staking would have definitely saved the humiliation that Draupadi was facing. But did he have the choice to not stake? Is the question again I'm going to ask. Did anybody speak up? Did the Raja speak up? Who could have stopped it? When you're sitting there, you have nothing to do, you are a slave, you've lost everything. You've lost every single person, every single thing you had. What? And they're telling you now you have one more, you still have a chance to win. Although even without staking, she had become a slave. Okay. So just imagine you are in the home of your enemies. Lost your Astra Shastra, lost your Sena, every single thing. Except you 5, there is nothing at all that you can use also to save yourself. And there, if he hadn't done what he did, because he was forced into it, right? Draupadi was already a slave. But because Draupadi was humiliated the way they humiliated her. What happened after that? Lots of nimittas went bad. Gandhari came in because she was like, okay, this is now too much. Why? Because Bhim then took the pratigya that I will kill Duryodhan by smashing his thigh, and I will kill Dushasan by splitting open his chhati. So extremely scared by that, Gandhari first of all interferes, and Dhritarashtra believes that okay, now my sons would be completely dead. And Vidur also says that whatever has happened now, trust me, you all are going to be destroyed. And although Bhishma Pitama doesn't give the answer to Draupadi because he says technically I cannot tell you what is right or wrong, he also says that irrespective of that, whatever has happened today on this in this sabha, I can totally see the Kauravas being destroyed. So because everybody has said this, now Dhritarashtra is supremely scared. And he says, okay, okay, take back everything. And he tells Draupadi that, okay, why do what do you want? I want to give you a vardhan. What do you want? And she says, free my husband, free my eldest husband, the bigger, the older one, Yudhishthir, free the Raja from slavery, so that my son, my eldest son, is never called the son of a slave. Okay, Yudhishthir ko chhod diya. Then he says, ask me more. She says, free my other husbands with their astra shastra. With their shastras, you free all of them. Dhritarashtra says, okay, given. He says, ask me more. I want to give you more. And Draupadi says, nothing. I know that as a warrior queen, I'm allowed only two vardhans. I can ask you only two. Lobha, greed, destroys dharma. I don't want to do that. Because I have full confidence in my husbands that whatever else is theirs, they will take it with their purusharthas. I don't have to do it for them. But at that point, then Dhritarashtra says, okay, okay, you take back everything, you go. So imagine if this had not happened. We wouldn't be sitting here and talking about Mahabharata at all. It would be done deal. Because they were already slaves, right? Draupadi was also already a slave. Nobody was objecting. Nobody was saying anything. Somewhat hathapai and everything would have happened between Pandavas and ye. Because remember, they don't even have their weapons. Gandhi bhi nahi hai, kuch nahi hai. Sirf hathapai karna hai, which probably Bhim would have done. But Bhim, Duryodhan and all were also equally strong here. What are we even talking about? So then all these questions, it was their responsibility to protect her. What would they have done? Ye to socho. And yeah, they could have done something symbolic for sure. Yeah, they could have jumped in, this, that, all that. But would that have achieved anything? When you are in a completely, absolutely helpless situation, you just don't know what to do, right? So some situations are such where yes, our intellectual brain will say, "अरे ऐसे कर देते, वैसे कर देते," because हमको तो इधर बैठ के बकबक करना है ना. But सोचो तो सही उस situation में आप क्या करते? And this is the दृष्टिकोण of learning इतिहास. It is not to say that oh Yudhishthir is right तो उसको हमेशा defend करो, Duryodhan is wrong तो उसे हमेशा ये करो. The point is not that. The point is, can you put yourself in that situation? Because hopefully not that situation, but such dharma sankats will come in our lives. And when that happens, how are we going to behave? Instinctively, ऐसे कर दो. Or in that moment also keep your head cool as far as you can and see if that action is going to really help, or sometimes you just accept that pain so that in the longer run you may actually have a chance to salvage yourself and get back to the people who've done wrong to you. It's not easy, but sometimes you really have no choice, right? And you go with the flow, you accept it and come back at the right time. Doesn't mean you forget everything. No. They did not forget it. Nobody allowed them to forget it. They came back and took back what was theirs. And how did it happen at that point? Entire clan got decimated. All those people who were sitting there and watching the humiliation, they all got humiliated. Sometimes for the right action also, you have to wait for the right time. And that also can happen only and only and only when you have control over your senses and your impulses. And a bhav of surrender. That yeah, things will be fine. At this point, let's go with the flow.
Talking about one more pivotal character, ma'am, Bhishma Pitama. Now, as you mentioned that he said in the last that now Hastinapur will be destroyed, but didn't he have a vow to protect the throne of Hastinapur? So when he was seeing all these things happening, so he must have thought that this will eventually lead to the downfall of Hastinapur. So why didn't he act?
His thing is not to protect the throne of Hastinapur. His thing was to never challenge the throne of Hastinapur. So what happens there? So this is what happens. When Satyavati, the stepmother of Bhishma, right? So he's first Devavrat and his father Shantanu. So when Shantanu wanted to marry Satyavati, his father, Satyavati's father, has a clause that only my daughter's children will become the Raja. Shantanu doesn't agree, but eventually Bhishma agrees and he says, okay, only your daughter's sons will become the Raja. The father is very smart. He doesn't stop at that. He says, okay, fine, you have given up your claim, but there is a chance that your children will challenge the throne, right? There is a chance your children will challenge the throne. So how do I then trust you? And Bhishma says, Devavrata at that time, he says, okay, if that is your concern, then let me take another vow, another oath of Ajivan Brahmacharya, Ajivan celibacy, so that even my progeny do not challenge the throne. It is not about protecting the throne. It is about not challenging the throne. One. Second, when the yuddha happens, okay, when the yuddha happens, that time we know that initially, just before it starts, Yudhishthir goes to his elders and seeks their blessings and stuff. So first he goes to Bhishma and he seeks his blessings. And Bhishma is like, "Good, if you wouldn't have come, I would have cursed you to lose this war. But I'm glad you know your sanskaras and you came to seek my blessings. So I bless you with Vijay Bhava." And he says, "Ask me for anything else except asking me to fight on your side." Why? He says, "Arthasya manushya dasa." Man is a slave of money. What does he mean, money? Who is he a minister of? Hastinapur. Okay. His entire well being, his status. Okay, of course, in Bhishma Pitama's case, even though he's a patriarch and everything, all the status and all that is coming from the throne of Hastinapur. So he considers himself as a loyal minister of Hastinapur. When I say Hastinapur, what does it mean? Loyal to whom? If today in India we have to take any decision, when we say loyal to India, okay, when we say our army is loyal to India, what does it mean? If the party in power, if the prime minister or the president, they take a call that we have to fight a war, and the Senapati, the chief of armed forces, he believes it is not a reason, we should not fight the war. Okay. And he tries to convince the minister that no, we shouldn't fight the war, shouldn't fight the war. But eventually, if the call is taken to fight the war, what do we expect our Senapati to do, our armed forces to
Fight on our behalf.
do? Do we
Fight
say,
on
oh
our
no,
behalf.
no, you have a point that we shouldn't fight? Don't worry, you go and fight on the side of the Dushman. Even if the Dushman is right, would we say that? So,
No,
what
no.
is the situation of Bhishma at that point in time? Again, the beauty of Mahabharata is that put yourself in that situation. I still believe that in the Dyut Krida, Bhishma, instead of getting into the technicalities, at least had the responsibility to stand up and say, "Stop this, this is not fair." Of course, the king may not have done anything, and we could have exactly been in the same situation that we have been in. But still, as a patriarch, at that point, he should have spoken. But when it came to fighting the war, I think he did what was expected out of any minister or general loyal to a kingdom.
When we see Mahabharat from an ethical perspective, there is one character there that always comes in mind, Karna. Now, Karna is often celebrated for his loyalty and resilience, but his unwavering support for Duryodhan, despite all the wrongdoings, he raises some sort of serious ethical questions. Like by choosing to stand by Duryodhan in acts like Lakshagraya, Draupadi's humiliation, a war against Pandavas, even when he knew that he was the elder brother. Karna actively participated in perpetuating injustice. Now, should loyalty to a friend outweigh moral responsibility to a society?
Moral responsibility, jane do. Let's talk about loyalty to a friend. Let's talk about who is a good friend. Who is a good friend?
A friend that actually guides us on a right path, supports us when needed, but only when we are right. In the situation of wrongdoings, he should be the one actually telling us that, okay, you shouldn't be doing this, you should go on the right path.
What did the war achieve? Destruction of his own friend? Did he know that this probably is going to be the outcome?
Yes.
Yeah, he's telling Krishna, he's like, all the omens that I see are against Duryodhana. Yeah. Every time Bhishma Pitama, Dronacharya, or everybody, they are trying to convince Duryodhan that Baba, you should not fight the war. It will lead to destruction. It will lead to annihilation of our entire clan. Don't fight the war. Every time somebody said that, Karna will jump in and say, no, 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 no. They are not your well wishers. This is what he would say. He's like, these are not your well wishers. They have soft corner towards the Pandavas. Hence, they are leading you astray. Hence, they are giving you wrong advice. They are not your friends. But you don't worry, I am there now. Just see how I fight the Pandavas. Single handedly, I will destroy all of them. Let Bhishma, Drona, Krupa, let none of them fight. I will go and fight. So it is not as if he's supporting Duryodhan. He's actively pushing him into a war which will destroy his entire family. Is your question even valid now?
I
Is
mean,
it choosing between loyalty? Is it loyalty at all?
that sort of puts Karna in a position where he is the main character pushing Duryodhan constantly, and he's the one actually doing the wrong stuff.
Is there one incident where he has told Duryodhan ki Baba, you are doing the wrong thing? Shakuni, there are two situations where Shakuni is telling him ki Baba, give back Pandavas Indraprastha. Another incident where he says that Duryodhan, you have everything, you have all the riches in Hastinapur. Jane do na, why are you worrying about them? You have fun here, you have all of us supporting you. Two instances where his mama is actually saying that. Of course, then he does what he does. But not one where Karna tries to put sense into Duryodhan. What kind of a friendship is that? Is that, do you want a friend like that? A good friend is a one who, yes, might eventually stand by you. Okay? But first, he will at least show you what the right thing is to do. Right? He will tell you whether you're on the right path or not. He will want to guide you in a way that you don't fall down the path of destruction. You don't fall. Right? But here you have a person. I keep giving this analogy. If you're trying to jump off a well, who is a good friend? Who tries to pull you back or just pushes you in because you wanted to jump in? The one pushing you is also supporting you, na? Would you say such a loyal friend, यार उसने तो मुझे धक्का दे दिया क्योंकि मुझे जंप मारना था? Is that loyalty?
Instead, he's jumping in that well with him.
Both, na? First he pushed him and then he jumped himself.
So, I mean, I think that from there only we can say he's loyal. But other than that, I don't think
Loyal
so.
matlab he is like जो दुर्योधन को करना है वो करेंगे. And not just that, na? He's pushing him actively. Not allowing him to listen to any good counsel from his elders. So it is not even as simple as saying Duryodhan wanted to fight and he stood by him. No, no, no. He ensured Duryodhan fought the war by again and again telling him that it doesn't matter if anybody fights or not. मैं हूं ना, मैं हूं ना, मैं हूं ना. I will destroy all of them. Because Karna himself wanted the war as much as Duryodhan did. He was as jealous of Arjun as Duryodhan was of the Pandavas. So it is both of them coming together. That is why in my first book, Mahabharata Untold, so when you were giving my introduction, you said Mahabharata Unraveled twice. So just for clarity of everybody, first is Mahabharata Unraveled 1, little known facets of a well-known history, which covers the core story. In that, there is a chapter, The Friendship That Doomed. That is the name of the chapter I have given, where I actually highlight these two personalities. What have they done? They have actually increased or enhanced the tamogun in each other. इसने इसका तामसिक पना ही उजागर किया है rather than do anything good. If this friendship wouldn't have happened, people say what could have avoided this war? Only one thing. These two not coming together. Nothing else could have avoided it. But they came together and both tamasic vrittis got together and destroyed the entire generation of warriors of Mahabharata. You have other friendships also. You have Krishna and Arjun on the other end. So that chapter itself I've called the friendship that groomed. What did Krishna do? Krishna scolded Arjun whenever he needed to. Absolutely. When Arjun takes this Jayadratha, I will kill Jayadratha tomorrow before sunset. He takes this pratigya. First of all, Krishna jhapos him. He says, Baba, what do you think you've done? Like this, you've taken a pratigya. Did you check with your brothers? Did you ask my opinion? Did you ask Yudhishthir's opinion? None of this you did. You you um, you made a declaration. You made a proclamation about a pratigya. Now, if the world doesn't laugh at you, what else? I mean, the world will laugh at you only, na, he says, for being so stupid. Because what did Arjun do by doing that? Of course, eventually he succeeded and he killed Jayadratha and all that is fine. But what did he do? He told his strategy that he's going to kill Jayadratha. And not he didn't stop there. He said, if I don't kill Jayadratha, I will kill myself.
Kill myself.
Right? Now, what did the Kauravas have to do at that point in time? It was absolutely a stupid thing to do. Kauravas only had to do one thing, protect Jayadratha. And that is what they did. The entire army was only protecting Jayadratha. Strategically, it was a very stupid thing to do. And Krishna tells him that. Of course, eventually Arjun being Arjun, and Arjun is another level of skill, absolutely no comparison. He still achieved it, that's a different thing. But strategically, it was a stupid thing. And whenever he does such stupid stuff, Krishna tells him that. Krishna doesn't say, Arey, koi baat nahi. You want to do this? You do this. I'll keep just pampering your ego. Not at all. Even in Bhagavad Gita, when initially Arjun is like, how do I kill my elders? And for what? For just this bhumi, for just this luxuries. What is the point if I have to kill all of those for who I want all of this and all of that? When Arjun is saying all that, Krishna just laughs and he says, what are you talking like? First he says, don't become a napunsaka. Don't behave like an impotent that you are crying over what. And then he says, you're crying over what you shouldn't cry over. You're crying over what you shouldn't cry over. And you think you are saying something very intelligent. Huh? He literally says that. He's like, you are crying over what you shouldn't cry over. And you think you are talking like some intelligent person. Absolutely not. You're a fool. Because a smart person does not does not grieve over what is not worth grieving over. Jhapos him at every time. One instance where Karna would have done that. And hence, forget Karna, Duryodhana, Arjun, Krishna. Okay, they have lived their life. How do we define friendships for us? How do we define a good friend for us? How do we become good friends to others in our life? That we learn from it. And in that, don't develop a friendship like Duryodhana and Karna. Because if you do, trust me, only patan will happen. No other way.
Okay, thanks for answering, ma'am. I think that's it from my side of questions. Otherwise, the audience will say that I'm not taking their questions. So we'll start with the question answer session. Guys, do raise your hands. Yeah, Aditya.
So, hello, man.
Yes, sir.
So, I have a question on Amba. Sorry, Amba nahi. Shakuni and his father. Shakuni's father was Subala, who was the king of Afghan that time. So, it was said.
Gandhar. You can't say
Gandhar.
Afghan. Gandhar.
Okay, sorry. It's Gandhar. So, it was a roaming story that uh, Gandhari was married to a goat. So, after
It's an
knowing
absolutely bakwas Insta story.
this,
Absolutely bakwas. There is no truth. Not even 1% or 0.5% truth in the story. Nothing like that has happened. This whole revenge story that people create of Shakuni, it is had bakwas, had wahiyat.
this is for confirmation.
And I want to say one more thing about it. Sometimes people keep saying all these stories for Insta clickbait. What they do not realize is the implication of these stories. Because then, what is Mahabharata? Yeah, unknown, some new fact of Mahabharata. Mahabharata does not become about whatever we discussed at all. Clearly, Bhishma was wrong, right? If he has tortured Shakuni's family, like the stories say, right? Tortured all of them, if he has tried to kill all of them, if Bhishma has done this, then Bhishma is obviously wrong. Then actually the Mahabharata becomes a fight of Shakuni, right? And Shakuni is the hero for playing this out. Is that what Mahabharata is telling us? Mahabharata, even the Yuddha is called the Dharma Yuddha. That it is for a reason it is called the Dharma Yuddha. Not out, it is not some individual strategy, and people try to make it like, oh, agar Pandav jeet jate, so if the Pandavas had lost, Shakuni would be Krishna. Bakwas. No, that is not the point. So this whole backstory of Gandhari being Manglik, married to a goat, then Bhishma gets to know, and Bhishma becomes very angry and he destroys their entire family. Are Baba, if he had to destroy the entire family, why he has left Shakuni alive? Even socho to, even within the story, it is such a stupid story. Why did he not kill Shakuni already? Imagine you have killed that person's entire family. Okay. Gandhari has no problem. She's sitting and doing maja with Dhritarashtra, also giving him 100 bachas. Okay. Her entire family is being killed and imprisoned. No problem. Not one asar on her. And Shakuni, Bhishma is like, haan, aaja, tu aaja. I'll keep you in my palace so that you take revenge on me. You think Bhishma would be that stupid to begin with? So no, all this entire story is had bakwas. One. Second, there is actually no backstory. Subal, the father of Gandhari, he has attended with his children the Rajasuya Yagna of Yudhishthir also. And eventually, Shakuni's brothers get killed. But you know where? In the Kurukshetra war. They die in the Kurukshetra war. The other Gandhar princes and all. Not at that time. कि जेल में बंद कर दिया और कर दिया ऐसा कुछ भी बकवास उसने नहीं. The whole marriage also is a very usual arranged marriage like today. ठीक है. Hastinapur is a huge, big, prosperous kingdom. Gandhar is a good kingdom, but a small kingdom. But Gandhari is known for her virtue. So when Bhishma gets to know about this daughter of, अच्छा, one more thing, Gandhari से goat का विवाह कर दिया, ठीक है, and he became so angry that he killed everybody. Bhishma. Satyavati has a son, Vedvyas, through whom the niyog of the bachas have happened, and he didn't do anything to her. Logic to लगाओ. If he had so much issues with अरे कैसा हमको ये शादीशुदा या क्या मांगलिक लड़की दे दिया या किसी और से शादी की लड़की दे दिया, if that was that big a thorn for Bhishma, what would have been a bigger thorn? That Satyavati, who was eventually married to his father, when both the children died, she says, I have one more son called Vedvyas. Let's call him for Niyog, for Dhritarashtra, Pandu and Vidur. Dhritarashtra का जन्म ही नहीं होता if Bhishma was so circuit in his head, as the story makes him. Right? So, I'm glad this question was asked. Whenever you go to Insta and open these random people giving random stories, please use your head. Just because it sounds nice or just because they say it in a way that is very appealing, don't accept it. Mahabharata and Ramayana are not just stories for the heck of being stories. Bollywood masala nahi hai. These stories are meant to give us a lesson. So yes, please hear all of that, enjoy all of that, but learn to differentiate between fiction and itihas for our own good. फर्क नहीं पड़ता है आप कुछ भी मानो, पर अगर आपको सही से सीखना है, then know इतिहास for what it is.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, the next question is of Sudeep.
Hello, ma'am. So, like the narrative that you gave, like I also read Mahabharata, and my mother used to like read, and I used to listen to that right from the very Vedic book. So,
Yeah.
I have the same narrative in my head. But when you see in the televisions, right? If you have seen Suryaputra Karn, have you
I
watched that?
haven't, but I've heard about it. Yes.
So please watch that. Like the whole narrative of Karn that you gave here, right? It's completely different. Karn is victimized over there. So why is it such that like people over internet or let's say even television is trying to build a completely different narrative that is in the book and that is being set over television just for PR or let's say to brainwash or something like that? Is it not
See,
contradictory and thing to debate on?
See, what happens is, no, this thing hasn't started now. Just that with every new version, it gets taken to another level. Like this book, Palace of Illusions of that fiction, right? It's one of the most sold after. It's one of the most sold books in the fiction category in recent times on Mahabharata. It's full fiction. They've created a whole love story of Draupadi and Karna, yaar, for God's sake. A man who calls Draupadi Veshya and stuff, right? So what
Yeah.
happens is, एक के बाद एक नई stories बनती जाती है, and it all keeps getting compiled. And then there is almost unsaid competition between who will heroify more and who will victimize more. And that because आपने मान ही लिया ना that he is a victim. Again, as I said, it hasn't started now. This is after independence. A couple of, I mean, not couple. Some books were written across different languages. One is, I mean, I have immense respect for Ramthari Singh Dinkar, but in Rashmita Thing, what has he done, right? Or in Marathi, there is a book called Mrityunjay and Radhe, completely twisted narrative. Now, what happens is, at that point in time, or even today, we do have caste issues in the society, right? For them, they just assumed that Suta is equivalent to the oppressed classes now. And you have to create a hero out of it. And again, this is also not new. There is an old Sanskrit play which talks about some of these aspects as well. But then every time it gets becoming more and more and more and more masalida. And see, we all, it's a human nature. We love the underdog.
Yeah.
Okay. So who is the underdog? This bichara bacha, who is not a kshatriya but a suta. Now the meaning of Sut got completely distorted. वो अलग बात है. That Suta got juxtaposed with the oppressed classes today, and we do have a problem. And especially independence के समय, the last 200 years से कुछ बहुत ज़्यादा था. Not coming because of इतिहास, but after that, right? The वो तो था. That is a social reality. So then everybody accepted कि हाँ यही होता है. The only reason Karna didn't get what he deserved to get was because wrong jati, right? And this victimization, no, एक तो jati narrative is one thing, but it's always that underdog narrative always appeals. सब कुछ अच्छा है, Robin Hood story, right? सब कुछ अच्छा है, good cause, good friend, everything for the friend. अपने आप को मार दिया केवल friend के लिए, right? फिर भी what he deserved he did not get. Whose problem? The dunya's problem. Nobody will know. None of us want to look within and say that, Baba, there is some problem with us. Very easy to outsource responsibility, no? Very easy to outsource blame. So the victimhood narrative always is more appealing. Very easy to adopt victimhood narrative. I'm not doing anything, दुनिया भर का problem. I am not successful, somebody else's problem, not me. मेरे को तो अंदर देखना ही नहीं, मैं तो बहुत अच्छा. And we will rationalize showing some one or two qualities of us. And that underdog thing really played for Karna. People accepted it, people lapped it up. That's just a human psychology.
Yeah.
When it's Sida Sada, then it's not fun enough, no? You need
Yes.
more
But
emotional drama, which victimization brings.
the same thing is the question remain again the same, right? Because why is it such that like they are building a narrative out of it just for
I'll tell
entertainment?
you, a lot of them don't even know that they are building a narrative because nobody reads the Mahabharata. Okay, टीवी में देखा ये आधा फिक्शन आधा क्या 99% जो बी आर चोपड़ा महाभारत के बाद लिखा गया है ना. I doubt any of these fiction writers have ever opened Mahabharata to read what Mahabharata has. They genuinely believe in that. And it is not just them. So many of Kathavachaks also say the same thing. So many of them continue saying the same narrative. They keep on saying the same stories, right? You have Sadhguru talk about all these stories. Now, what thing you cannot accuse him of is being anti-Hindu, no? But
Right.
he talks about this. So what is it? It is ignorance. And such ignorance then fuels people who want to create a wrong propaganda. But where is the problem? The problem is in us. We stopped reading our Shastras. And in so many places, there is this ridiculous superstition that if you read Mahabharata, if you keep Mahabharata ghar pe, what will happen? Ghar pe only Mahabharata will happen. So we stopped reading our text fully. We outsourced it to everybody else. We kept reading fiction on all of that, but not the text. And then we did one more thing which was very interesting. We said, ये तो सब कथाएं हैं, सबके कितने ही versions हैं. Same goes for Ramayana also. To justify and legitimize every kind of Ramayana, we said ये तो सब चलता है, सब कथाएं हैं, अलग अलग कल्पों में होती है, हर कल्प की स्टोरी करेक्ट है, ठीक है, इसीलिए आपको जो चाहे कर दो वो भी सही है. सेम थिंग हैपेंड विद महाभारत. ये तो सब चलता है, ये तो इसका पर्सपेक्टिव है, ये तो इसका पर्सपेक्टिव है. अरे किसका, आपको कैसे मालूम किसका पर्सपेक्टिव? वी हैव वन ओनली, नो, वेद व्यास जी, बट वी केप्ट टेकिंग इट. So all of this has brought it together, but the core is we stopped reading our text, and people who just kept telling us that they are telling Mahabharata, we accepted it without even questioning, because we didn't know. So it is the agnan, the avidya, which has eventually led to all of this.
Thank you.
Okay, so next is Varchasva.
Okay, Shreyas, I'll have to take this as the last question.
Yeah, ma'am. Okay.
As you see,
No
my
issues.
answers are pretty big, yeah? Just give me
Yes,
one
ma'am.
second.
Yes, ma'am. Varchasva, you are from our team, so you can avoid your question, Abhi.
Okay, भैया.
Should we give chance to someone else? Mm, there are too many questions. There are too many questions. How should I take one?
Okay, let's take two.
Okay,
And for
ma'am.
rest,
But
I would request all of you to read the books as well. So Mahabharat 1 to hai, Mahabharat 2 talks on the dharma discourses, the whole Shanti Parva, the whole Vidur Niti and all that is covered in that. So I guess one of the things which you guys can do is have a reading club or something.
yes, ma'am.
Because let's not stop at मैंने बोल दिया वो सुन लिया, है ना? What is, as we just discussed, the issue is we not reading our actual books. So start reading books.
Okay, Patel Preet Rakesh.
Ma'am, my question is Vidurniti and Konakniti are same or different?
Very different, yeah. कणक नीति कणक की है, विदुर नीति विदुर की है. कणक नीति तो छोटू सा भाग है. विदुर नीति is way more detailed.
Okay, but this only.
Okay, Harshvardhan.
Thank you, Shayan, for giving the opportunity. Good morning, ma'am. Actually, my question is very simple. You did try to define friendship from on perspective of Karna and Duryodhana, Arjun and Krishna. How do we define authority? Because you mentioned that Dhritarashtra should have spoken if he was following Rajdharm, if I can say that. But there's then Yudhishthir went with the flow and things and everything happened as they should have. If we see something like this in front of us in our family, someone in position of authority in public, in government, or in our classrooms, if we see someone in position of authority either staying quiet or doing something that's not right, what do we do? Do we go with the flow or do we speak up?
See, first of all, here uh, Dhritarashtra is the supreme authority, right? There is nobody beyond him. In usual our scenario, for example, if there is a chori that happens, then what would we do? We would go to the right organization. जैसे we have ना, we will go to the lower court, upper court, high court, supreme court. But अगर supreme court में भी नहीं हुआ, then what do you do? Right? If you genuinely believe in your cause, you keep fighting. But know where the buck stops. That is important, right? Position or other authority definitely comes with position. And that position, why it comes with position? Because they can actually make a difference. But I believe, let's बाकी सब जाने दो ना, ऑफिस की बात है, ठीक है, ऑफिस की बात है. Our boss is doing something wrong. What to do? अपना immediate boss है, he is doing something wrong.
We escalated to his senior or to HR.
Correct. But there is a chance that they will not do anything. Which sometimes they don't, right? सब लोग अच्छे तो है नहीं. Then what do you do?
The simplest thing that comes to mind is to not be associated with the place, but then that's something like backing away from a fight.
Not necessary. Because, देखो, सबसे पहले तो also figure out, is it the same issue with everybody or is it personal to you? Right? Because sometimes what we think is unjust, maybe not everybody thinks, or maybe it is just personal. right?
Hmm.
So if nobody else has a problem with that person, and only you have a problem with that person,
Hmm.
then why will they take your side anyways,
Hmm.
right? Even from the interest of the organization. But if it is in the interest of the organization कि उसको रखने से नाम खराब हो रहा है, then they will clearly do something. So what is that situation is also very important to know. Is it personal or is it really moral and ethical? If the person is doing something that is ethically wrong, right? आपके टीम में किसी लड़की के साथ कुछ गलत कर रहा है आपका बॉस,
Hmm.
and the girl feels pressurized, ठीक है, और इट इज अनजस्टली हैपनिंग विदाउट हर कंसेंट, वो पहले ध्यान रखना, नहीं तो कई बार दैट गर्ल विल टर्न अवे एंड से नहीं नहीं ऐसा कुछ नहीं हुआ. सो देन व्हाट यू डू, that is why we have all this whistleblower thing and stuff, right? So we at least
Hmm.
try. Let's not try to be blind to it completely and see what we can. The thing is, not every time we will be able to do something. But you know what it is? If you have not spoken, if you know something is wrong, okay, and you know that you may not be able to change it, but you can do something about it, highlight it, okay,
Hmm.
and you don't do it, you will feel guilty about it. Baki sab to jaane do, right? So
Hmm.
do that which allows you to sleep well at night. And then you will be able to determine that there are some which are really not that big a deal, but there are others which actually have a very ethical, moral impact. And if not highlighted, it will take down many others. In that case, even if you can't do anything, at least highlight it. That is our job. At least let whoever needs to know about it. And उसके बाद तो people also आजकल तो social media हो गया है ना, तो it's become a little more how do I say, in a good way and a bad way. If somebody is going to be exposed, they'll be a little more careful. Sometimes that can also be used negatively. किसी को बिना वजह blackmail करने के लिए भी उसकी गलती नहीं होगी तो भी करेंगे. So
Hmm.
first of all, just know what it is, and also know what is that power that the other person has and where to stop. I think all this becomes very important.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am, for
Oh,
answering.
okay, guys. I know for a fact that your questions are not satisfied, and rightly so. I mean, it's a 1 hour session. How can you discuss all the Mahabharata in 1 hour session? So, what we can do is, you all can actually put up your questions. We'll release the membership form of our club. You can put up your questions, and we'll pass on to the questions to ma'am. Get her answers,
No,
get
no,
her
no, no, no,
perspective.
no, 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 no,
No.
no. No time. If I start answering everybody personally, ho gaya. There is a reason the book has been written. Mahabharata
Okay.
Unraveled 1 and 2. Yeah. You all are students. I'm sure you can spend some money to get Kindle versions of it. You can spend some money to get authorized copies of it. Amazon पे तो सब सस्ता मिलता है. देखो answers बैठे बैठे नहीं मिलता है. You have to put in hard work for it. ठीक है. So don't feel good just by asking questions. If you really care, you should try and find the answer to it. But the answer can't just be इनको पूछ लूंगा मिल जाएगा. Because what if I say wrong, right? So, and to be on the, I mean, on another note, I genuinely don't have the bandwidth to be answering all questions. So, read the book, hear the podcast. I do sessions on Mahabharat Ramayana. If you have time at some point, अभी तो पढ़ाई करो. I think वो ज़्यादा important है. वो सब हो जाए उसके बाद कभी तो after a year or two, if you want, you can join some of this.
Okay, guys. So we'll actually conclude the meet now. So as we come to the close of this incredible session, now I'll just take a moment to reflect on the depth of wisdom of Mahabharata. Now, as beautifully explained by Ami Ma'am, it's not just an ancient epic, but sort of a mirror to our own lives. It's teaching on dharma, leadership, choices, on the complexities of human relationships are as relevant today as they were 1,000 years ago. Now, through the lens of its characters and their journeys, we are reminded to introspect, align our values, and navigate our own challenges and integrity. A heartfelt thank you to Ami Ma'am for sharing her profound knowledge and bringing the epic to life for us. Your insights were truly enriching, and our understanding of this timeless masterpiece definitely would have increased, has increased. To everyone here, thank you for joining us today. Thank you so much. Until we meet next. Thank you so
And
much,
I
ma'am.
have to say something about the team. I think it was one very persuasive, and I loved how structured they were. So I told you yesterday, Shreyas, right? The way
Yes,
you
ma'am.
led this whole thing, even today and even yesterday, the way you introduced me to what you guys are doing, and the whole structure you had with the preparation, I was very impressed. Doesn't happen all the time. So good, keep it up. All the
Thank
best
you
to
so
all.
much, ma'am. Thank you so much. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for joining today. I mean, I know that you're not satisfied with all those questions. Not your questions being not picked up, but no worries. How to join the club? Okay, I haven't made the membership form. Abhi tak. Just let me stop the recording, pehले.